वालेकुम अस्सलाम, कैसी हैं आप?
Assalamu alaikum.
Vikar, how are you both?
Alhamdulillah. Hi Ahmed, how are you?
Very well. Very well. Shukr alhamdulillah. How are you doing, Momin?
Allah ka shukr. Feeling better now that I've seen you, after a long time. And quite excited about this
call now. Thank you, Saqib, for arranging this as well. And very excited and pumped for this as well.
Likewise.
Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us here. We've been very excited about this session. हमने सबको बहुत ज़्यादा तंग किया है, and I hope we make it worth their time today. So starting off, Assalamu alaikum everyone. We are finally here with the two speakers we've been telling you about. So very excited to be sharing this space with you, Momin, as well as Ahmed. आप लोग वो cousins हैं जिनकी वजह से सबको जो है ना पूरी जिंदगी डांटे और ताने पड़ते हैं अपने अम्मा अब्बा से. So jokes apart, thank you for being wonderful youth inspiration, which is why we thought it would be a great opportunity to share this space with you and have you all here. I think आप लोग अपना introduction खुद बेहतरीन कर सकते हैं, so I will let you introduce yourself and then we can kickstart this conversation.
Gee, Momin, you can go first, please.
Okay. Nothing, guys. My name is Momin. I am just a human being who's trying to live life to the fullest and trying to make the world a better place in whatever capacity he can. And I am someone, I'd like to add this to my introduction. I'm someone who's extremely happy today because I get to share space with Ahmed, who's an inspiration for the Pakistani youth and now a peace and education activist, because education is very close to my heart and youth empowerment is what I'm extremely passionate about. And Shoaib, likewise, thank you for organizing this and being one of the outliers within the Pakistani community who are not just thinking about themselves but others. Apart from that, I did my undergrad from King's College London, and I was the part of the Students' Union there, elected as the president of the Students' Union. And then I started working after I graduated as the engagement officer, working on decolonizing and internationalizing the curriculum. And because I'm a strong advocate of diversity, I'm also an actor and an entertainer. So, I've acted in a couple of Pakistani dramas and a movie. But right now I'm quite excited because I'm starting a master's in global leadership and peace building in September.
Wow.
But at the end of the, at the end, I just like to say the pinnacle right now is being in this session with both of you.
Well, thank you, Momin, for your kind words. I'm Ahmed. I'm one of the survivors of the Army Public School attack, which is where it began. And from then on, it has been just an upward journey to achieving one thing to another, setting examples of how to sort of come out of tragedies, how to come out of sort of difficult situations and still be able to do a lot of things. So after the incident happened, I was brought to the UK for treatment, and then I've been campaigning for sort of de-radicalization to avoid those sort of incidents happening again. And the long-term plan would be education, so sort of the provision of education, and also sort of working more generally on youth empowerment, because I feel like there's a huge part of Pakistani population that is young people who are talented and who have so much to give, but I think there are sort of opportunities that are needed to sort of take them forward. So yeah, I've been campaigning for youth empowerment, education, and then I got into Oxford, like Buzz will say, and now, shukr alhamdulillah, I'm leading the Oxford Union as the president of the Oxford Union. And I'm very excited, extremely excited to share this with Momin as well. Such an energetic character. I'm sure most people know Momin, and also Saqib for arranging this on behalf of Igniteful, because I've heard really super great things about Igniteful and all the work you do as a women-led organization. So yeah, I'm quite excited for this, to have a conversation with young people from back home.
Thank you both. I think before we kickstart this session, it's important to put it out there कि हमारा मकसद इस सेशन को करना ये है कि we've got a huge youth population in Pakistan. In fact, Pakistan is one of the countries with the maximum amount of youth, 63% to be precise. So I think most of us experience a lot of anxieties. We experience a lot of issues that we think go undealt. And I think we don't have these conversations frequent enough as to how these different anxieties that the youth of Pakistan is experiencing, whether it's in terms of uncertainty regarding the future, hopelessness, all of those emotions, I think we're addressing it. And this session is meant to sort of encourage the youth that they can take charge of their lives and, you know, get out of traumatic situations, building on their resilience. I think Ignite Full का मकसद भी काफी ज़्यादा ये है. To put it briefly in Martin Luther King's words, we would want to plant an apple tree today, even if we know that the world is going to hell tomorrow. So with that being said, हम इस session से ये चाहते हैं कि everybody gets to benefit. We really hope that you all step out thinking and knowing that there are different things that you can, different actions that you can take that can improve your life as well as those of people around you. With that being said, I want to open the floor for the conversation. Momin, Ahmed, both of you can sort of feel free to respond to whatever questions that you think you're most comfortable with, and feel free to interject me wherever you guys feel necessary. So starting the conversation, what do you think are the challenges that youth in Pakistan is facing? And this couldn't be in light of any of the factors that you think are affecting them.
Just to sort of like, I'll jump in on this one first, I think. मेरे ख्याल से पाकिस्तान में मतलब the problem that is surrounding the young people these days is multifaceted. There are a few things to it. The first main problem is it begins with the lack of opportunities and the sort of from the sort of the government, from the sort of leadership of the country to enable these young people who are talented, who've done well in their universities, in their education, who are well educated, who have done all they can, and what is sort of conventionally expected from one to do in order to become successful. And then it is the sort of the government / leadership that fails them by not thinking about them enough, by not providing enough opportunity for them to sort of utilize this education and go forward. But I think there are also some other issues surrounding them. इसमें एक ये है कि young people, I think these days in Pakistan or in any part of the world, need to know this notion of responsibility that they have. And I think that is the most important thing. Amongst our young people, or in general, we have this thought that मतलब Pakistan जो है तो ये हमारा मुल्क है, people need to do things for us. I think that's not quite how it works. I think Pakistani Awam, jo youth especially, we have to realize that this is all in our hands. We have to do the things that we want to see in our country's future. We have to step up and do things, get involved in our society, start caring about our neighbors from like, you know, starting from the neighbors to the wider society. So these are like some of the things, this notion of responsibility, the problem with less opportunities. These are like some of the problems that I think Pakistani youth are facing. And I think a lot of it is also, of course, from the neglection of the sort of the government and from the leadership, which is, I think, a sad moment. अभी जो है पाकिस्तान में हालात ही ऐसे हैं कि मतलब वहाँ पे सारे लोग political पे focused हैं. No one is thinking about the young generation and how to like sort of facilitate them to take them forward.
That's a very valid point.
I would just like to add to that Ahmed has very nicely spoken about some of these issues which are affecting the youth of Pakistan on a macro level. But I would like to talk about some of the issues that the youth of our country faces, you know, on a daily basis. And you know, I can talk from my own personal experience. And you know, these are things which might sound, you know, as if they're not that big, but they do have an impact. For example, I think, you know, majority of the students who are in school, ये जो comparison किया जाता है माँ बाप की तरफ से, टीचर्स की तरफ से, बच्चों के बीच में कि you know, oh, he got these grades, you did not, you know, he's doing that, why aren't you? So you know, as they say, that comparison is the thief of joy. तो अक्सर I think हमारे मतलब government level पे तो अहमद ने बड़ा अच्छे से swiftly he's spoken about it. So hence, you know, I thought I'd focus on this. That maybe, you know, it's something for our parents to realize that, you know, when you're constantly comparing your kids with other kids, you're just neglecting the fact that, you know, there are things which make them unique. They have their own talents. And when you do that, you kind of start affecting their self-esteem. And then apart from that, ये जो इतना pressure at times आ जाता है to to get good grades, and all the focus is around academic achievement, that the mental health of our students, youth, starts getting affected. And then in Pakistan, there's lack of mental health awareness, firstly, and on top of that, support. So first, we need to talk about mental health awareness, that it is a thing, and then there needs to be more support for these students, because Igniteful, as nicely said, that you guys, I think, are an absolutely amazing platform, thinking about not just helping students with exam preparation, but also helping them with their holistic development. And I think for that we need to kind of tackle some of the unique challenges that they face, so they can really work to the best of their abilities. They can perform to the best of their abilities academically, and outside the classroom. Because even when because we're talking about youth specifically, but if we talk about students, and if we talk about the classroom, the student experience consists of two things. One, what happens inside the classroom, and that is about the curriculum that you study. And one is about the outside of the classroom, the extracurricular activities that you're involved with. And that is where the point about responsibility comes in place, which Ahmed spoke about, that we need to be more aware of our surroundings. कि हमें अगर इतना privilege मिला हुआ है कि अल्लाह का शुक्र, in fact, all these 400 people जो यहाँ पे हमारे पास हैं, we alhamdulillah, we all are privileged. You have access to internet, you have access to a phone or a laptop, so you are already much better than, I think, 80% of the people. So this means that you are in a position to have an impact, and for that you need to have a sense of responsibility, a sense of compassion. So bilkul, just adding on to what Ahmed said,
I wanted to say just the point that you raised about individual or growing up, Jyotia, the way parents sort of deal with their children. I think growing up, I was very sort of fortunate that my parents, they were very open-minded always. And I think that is when your your mindset is built once you're growing up as a kid in your family. That's when the learning process begins. And I think the parents' responsibility, something that sort of comes out of what you said, Momin, is that the parents need to sort of start, educating the children, not just pushing them towards academic, but also teaching them about social responsibility, about responsibility towards people surrounding us. We might be privileged. एक बंदा होगा उनके पास सब कुछ होगा, they might be privileged, but it's the parents' responsibility to teach them to help those who don't have those things, to help get other people who are in problems out of these problems. On a smaller level, it may be, but I think we must start somewhere. And I think it's with the mindset, parents getting their children sort of like educated on these things, getting them more responsible towards not just all of a sudden they don't have to go out and change the world. They have to just start, be sort of compassionate, nice, kind to their neighbors, to sort of people who are less fortunate, and then from there we can develop and sort of we can have a more compassionate society as a whole. We can go forward. I think just to clarify, I wanted to say that I'm not an expert or anything on any of these issues, but it's just mostly from a personal experience. So people like myself, Momin, like yourself, we have sort of been through a lot of different experiences, and I think that gives us sort of a very unique insight into how I think these things could have been changed. I think about how I could have been different, if my upbringing was any different, how I could have my whole life trajectory could have been different. Basically, I think Momin hit on a very important point, from the upbringing point, from the sort of child when they're learning, sort of like developing the social responsibility and taking them forward from there.
I think both of you made very valid. Momin, go on if you want.
No, please go on. Please go on.
Yeah. So I think the points that you've raised are very valid, which is why we thought that parents should also be a part of this live session, because masla ye hai कि if they are not ingraining the right set of values in children, अगर आप बचपन से comparisons कर रहे हैं, बचपन से आप gratitude नहीं अपने बच्चों को दिखा रहे या सिखा रहे, तो उसके नतीजे में they will also end up being entitled individuals, which is a culture we're seeing increasingly prevalent in private schools and other universities in Pakistan. I think a sense of responsibility उसी जगह से आती है कि इतनी entitlement है that you want to be provided for in every capacity, and you don't want to, even for your own actions, you don't want to take responsibility. And I think one minor point in terms of comparisons, it's something that I sort of like to rely on. is that there will always be people smarter, prettier, more accomplished, richer than you, and you just have to count your own blessings, and it starts from there, because otherwise, so at every point in life, O level में grades किसी और के ज़्यादा होंगे, A level में ज़्यादा होंगे, किसी का बेहतर university में admission हो जाएगा, किसी का अच्छा आपसे अच्छी जगह शादी हो जाएगी. So it's like, this never ending viciousness that we need to sort of grow out of. और बहुत बचपन में ingrain कर दिया जाए, it just makes it so much easier.
और मैं सुबह इसमें बात करना चाहूंगा कि हमने बात कर ली about the unique challenges that we face as the Pakistani youth, but we also need to talk about कि if you do come across challenges in life, if you do come across adversity in life, अगर आप पे बुरा वक्त आता भी है, तो आपने instead of, there needs to be active thinking कि instead of thinking कि यार ये मेरे साथ क्यों हो गया, हो ये तो सारा बुरा मेरे साथ ही होता है, आप ये सोच सकते हो कि what can I do out of it, because when through adversity and when you're struggling, you get to realize or understand the struggles of other people, और आपके अंदर empathy आती है. For example, Ahmed, Ahmed पे एक adversity आई, what did he do? He came out of it. He became an education and a peace activist. Instead of, just dwelling upon why did it happen to me, his approach, his outlook towards the whole situation was different. Now that it has happened to me, how can I ensure, I can work towards making sure it never happens with someone else.
Absolutely.
So I think अगर challenge आ भी जाए, तो जो हमारी approach है, outlook है towards dealing with challenges and dealing with adversity has to be different, where we're active thinkers and we are global social citizens with a lot of compassion, where we want to help those who are not as blessed and as privileged as we are, and through our struggle we need to realize how we can help others in their struggles now. क्योंकि हमने struggle किया है, तो हम समझ सकते हैं कि यार अगले की struggle कैसी होगी, क्योंकि शायद हमें पहले उस चीज की समझ नहीं थी, क्योंकि हमने शायद वो struggle पहले face नहीं की थी. So maybe this is another thing that we can really touch upon, and Ahmed is of course
I point. Thank you very much for mentioning that. I think that is a very important point. इसलिए क्योंकि जब वो हादसा हुआ, तो उस हादसे के बाद इस तरह हादसा था कि मतलब I was completely sort of broken. Like, when you've lost your family member, you're yourself sort of paralyzed in bed. You're just thinking about, you've seen many people being killed in front of you. And I think that's like a point where I thought, okay, like, I could have just sat there and be like, okay, my life is sort of ended. From this point onwards, it's depression. From this point onwards, I just have to be thinking, why did it happen to me? And why did it happen of all the schools in the UK, in Pakistan? Why did it happen there? And all of these sort of questions. Lekin, I think when you're going through this personal struggle, when this happens, as Momin said, you come across a point where you just really understand and empathize with other people whom it has happened to. And living in Peshawar, जब मैं वहाँ पे होता था, मैं पेशावर में रहता था, तो वहाँ पे इस तरह के attacks मतलब हमेशा होते रहते थे. तो and you would never quite understand the position that these people were in. But when something like this happens to you, then you really are in a unique position to sort of see this whole situation, and you have this, you have this sort of like urge and passion to sort of do something about it, to make sure that this doesn't happen to anyone ever again. And I think that is the mentality we need. Now, one thing that I wanted to say was that they don't always need to be such huge like massacres or adversities that you go through to make you realize these sort of things. I went through a massacre. I went through an attack where many people were killed. It is not necessarily always like that, and I hope it doesn't. That sort of thing never happens to anyone. But there will be everyone faces different challenges in life. For people, there are different things which really affects their life at point and just really like breaks them or like, makes them think whether it's sort of worth going forward, or should I just be asking mujhe kyun hua? So I think like for someone, it could just be like, something very simple, like or it could be something mental or whatever it is. But I think taking out of it, as Momin said, okay, once that sort of thing happened, once you face that challenge in life, then you sort of sit down and then you think about what a unique position you're in regard to that issue that caused that challenge for you. and how you can help resolve that issue. And I think this is the mindset the Pakistani young people and young people worldwide need to get into. I think that these are not just preachings of like becoming a good person, but just generally, but these are like very particular things that people need to be doing, to Pakistani young people, to sort of get into this mindset of turning adversities, turning challenges into sort of something positive, because ultimately our responsibility at the end of our lives, we will die, and whatever is going to happen will happen. But I think what you leave in this life is going to be always how much of an impact you had on other people's lives, how many lives did you change throughout this life. And I think that is the thought that you sort of keep in your mind and just sort of go and help.
And just to add on to that, as Ahmed said, challenges. I think you need to think about how a challenge can be turned into an opportunity. And just talking about my personal example, just so that people can relate, COVID-19, it just disrupted our lives, and it impacted the life of every human, apparently. So it was not
absolutely.
It was not a very unique challenge towards you or towards me. It impacted everyone. And during COVID, I thought, what can I do, to turn this adversity, this challenge into an opportunity? And that is where, we started 1 million meals in the UK with some friends. We came across like-minded people, and alhamdulillah, we were supporting NHS doctors, nurses, policemen, and of course, because of that, I alhamdulillah was awarded the Commonwealth COVID-19 hero. But the point is, I thought about how this challenge could be turned into an opportunity. And I think real contentment and real happiness only comes when you do something for others, when you have an impact on other people's lives. And this is when, if you're going through a challenge, you need to give meaning to it. And you can only give meaning to it when you can, as I said, really think about what you can do. And then people would ask a question, कि यार ठीक है यार, कहना बड़ा आसान है, लेकिन what's the first step? क्योंकि पहला स्टेप ही सबसे मुश्किल होता है. Little, यहाँ पे अभी कमेंट आया यशवीन का कि every little step counts. Literally, it's so easy. आप सिर्फ ये देखो कि यार like minded people ढूंढो कि और कौन से लोग हैं जो मेरी तरह के वैल्यू सिस्टम है, जिनके मेरी तरह के सिमिलर एम्स हैं, सिमिलर पैशंस हैं. हम उनको साथ लाओ, उनको साथ ला के फिर आप एक 2 लोगों से 3 लोगों की टीम से शुरू करो, तो it's always possible. And as you take small little steps, it just turns out to be something big. And you should never think that something is not possible. ये तो आपने सोचना ही नहीं है, ये तो आपने सोचना ही नहीं है something is not possible, क्योंकि the fact that you wake up every morning is a miracle. That God blesses you with a new day means that there is a responsibility that you have. So even in my personal case, again, when I went to King's, I thought I will run in the elections for the president of the Students' Union. And we never had a non-EU or a nation before in the last 144 years. So, apparently, if you've never had one, every Asian or a non-European student would think, okay, if that has never happened, it would never happen. But again, you need to be an outlier. You need to go against the grain positively, and for me, just doing things which have never been done before just excites me. Why not? तो ये मैं यूथ को कहना चाह रहा हूँ कि टाइम इतना लिमिटेड है क्योंकि आपके पास भी 24 hours है. The Prime Minister of Pakistan also has 24 hours. The Prime Minister of the UK also has 24 hours. So we all have 24 hours. So it's very important for you to value your time. And for that, you need to start changing the way you talk to your friends, your conversations within your university, within your classroom. You need to really value your time, because when you value yourself, people will value you. So again, Ahmed, happy for you to add something to that.
I just wanted to make a minor interjection. Momin, आपकी बात भी बिल्कुल सही है. I think एक चीज जो I would want to make very clear to our audience is कि आपने overwhelmed नहीं होना. Just because you found yourself in a situation, mashallah, you had the drive to turn COVID जैसी opportunity into something much larger than life. That's wonderful. But I feel इसके साथ एक चीज ये कि आप अगर अपने घर में एक किसी और individual के लिए भी, if you're able to change things, or if you're able to treat even your servants with respect, or if you're able to just make a random stranger के लिए आपने दरवाजा खोल दिया है, आपने कुछ भी ऐसा छोटा कर दिया, I think you are living a life that's worth it. एंड हमारा मसला ये है कि हम इतने ओवरवेल्म हो जाते हैं कि ओ नो इट्स ईदर नथिंग और समथिंग ऑफ अ स्केल दैट्स इम्पॉसिबल टू अचीव. तो वो कोई स्लाइडर है
इसमें कहना चाहूंगा, मैं इसमें कहना चाहूंगा मजा तो तब आए कि जब ये हमें जो 400 लोग देख रहे हैं इनका मूड फुल खराब हो, गर्मी में ये लोग बाहर निकले और इनको किसी बात पे गुस्सा चढ़ा, फिर जाके ये वेटर को बहुत ज्यादा रिस्पेक्ट दे, फिर जाके ये किसी के लिए उस मोमेंट में दरवाजा खोले. क्योंकि व्हेन एवरीथिंग्स गुड, व्हेन यूर इन अ गुड मूड, व्हेन द वेदर इज परफेक्ट, दैट्स फाइन. इट्स इजी टू बी नाइस देन. बट it's fun and it's nice when you're not in a good mood, when things are not going according to how you planned them to be. At that moment, if you are nice to others, at that moment, if you are a ray of positivity, at that moment, if you are a source of happiness for others, that is when I will respect you. When you are going through challenges, when you are going through adversity, yet you decide to be a source of positivity for others, मजा तो फिर है ना, क्योंकि मूड अच्छा है, मौसम अच्छा है, लाइट भी आ रही है, पॉलिटिकल सिचुएशन भी बेस्ट है दुनिया में, बिल्कुल, तब तो सभी अच्छा फील कर लेते हैं,
जो कि पाकिस्तान में लाइकली कि नहीं होगा, which is why it's so important for you to get a hold of yourself at all times. अभी कल पूरा दिन इंटरनेट गया है, अब उसमें आपने घर में कितनी लड़ाइयाँ की हैं, अब आप बताएं हमें.
वो कोई शार्क खा गई थी, वो कोई शार्क वार्क सुना, समुद्र में जाके हमारी तार वार खा गई थी, लेकिन
पाकिस्तान.
हाँ, बट अहमद, मैं चाहूंगा अहमद थोड़ा सा आप यूथ को बताओ कि ऑक्सफोर्ड का आपका कैसे एक्सपीरियंस जा रहा है, ऑक्सफोर्ड यूनियन का. It's a big mashallah position.
I was just gonna say that the dynamics of the call, is incredible. कि यहाँ पे मतलब एक बंदे से कुछ रह जाता है तो the other person has it covered. Like they know there is like every aspect of it. So I want an excellent बात आपने जो मतलब एक बहुत important topic पे touch किया, that we both spoke about, कि मतलब we turn adversities into sort of something positive and something like big. So I will mention the personal sort of overcoming from those things, which is extremely important. So that made me really happy, because it's like we have each other's back almost in covering in. That's a very important point. It's the personal journey is very important as well, overcoming such adversities. That's a huge part of these things, and how you sort of it's not just you don't need to feel overwhelmed that if you do feel go through a challenge, you always have to go and sort of reach the sky and sort of aim for gun for that. But it's that you personally, even if you sort of personally overcome it and become personally a better person, I think in general that's a huge achievement from that. So sort of grateful that you touched upon that as well. Just what earlier Momin said, to sort of come back to that, I think is a very important point, was about how we need to change precedences at a lot of these places. अगर हम पाकिस्तान में, अगर हम बाहर है, अगर जहाँ पे भी है, the thought के अभी तक तकरीबन 100 साल में कोई किसी पाकिस्तानी ने, साउथ एशियन वगैरह ने ये नहीं किया. So I think it must be difficult / sort of forget about it. I think that is a very hurtful thought to think about. इसलिए that is that is what stops very talented people from going far into these things. Momin ने जैसे बताया कि when he was at King's, there wasn't anyone from, I think, non-European for a long time. Similar case मेरे लिए यहाँ पे मैं जब ऑक्सफोर्ड में हूँ अभी, तो मैं जब ऑक्सफोर्ड में आया, firstly coming into Oxford, of course, is such an incredibly different challenge, difficult challenge. I mean, I was obviously I had not even dreamt of such thing before, I had gotten in. I was extremely grateful to Allah and sort of, my parents, and just the hard work that went into it. It just feels great at the end of it anyways. But when I started at Oxford, it's that feeling कि यहाँ पे सारे लोग जो है, तो they have been sort of nourished in this environment. They've grown up with so much privileges that they naturally fit into this place. Lekin I can't spend my time at Oxford just complaining and moaning about how I wasn't as privileged coming here and everyone else was. That would be completely counterproductive. Instead, I put myself into a mindset कि अच्छा, यहाँ पर जब अब ये opportunity मिली है, I have to make the most take the most advantage of it, because as Pakistanis at Oxford, especially at the Oxford Union, we're not just there as like, for fun or whatever, but also we're there as an example to the rest of the
Absolutely.
young generation and to the Pakistani youth. कि देखिए, they were saying कि Benazir Bhutto के बाद कोई पाकिस्तानी president आया ही नहीं है Oxford Union का. It's because it's very difficult. I have friends from Pakistan Society, etc. in Oxford, who said that in the recent years, it's very difficult to go up the ladder to sort of make it to that. But I think just being in that mindset is counterproductive. I was just always with the mindset that, okay, I'm here, I will do whatever I can. I want to just also have a good time, but also do this because I'm passionate about this. And I like if Fazil say, I was then the second ever Pakistani after Benazir Bhutto at the Oxford Union. So I think this should tell these people of what Momin said earlier as well, that we shouldn't be sort of scared off by precedences. Precedences are going to be not in favor of us. Pakistan's age is only 70 years old. If we go out into the real world, there's going to be no precedence for us in anything. Not even in Pakistan. A lot of the precedences are not really that great. But the precedences are there to be changed by these young people, to do things, to come forward and sort of take over. So I think that's extremely important to sort of get across. And I'm glad that you have both emphasized on this as well.
And mashallah, Ahmed, you've broken the glass ceiling for many of us there. And I would like to add कि इसी तरह आपने Pakistani students, you can be in any university in Pakistan, across the globe. Don't be scared by socially constructed norms. Oh my God, how will I manage my studies if I run for the union, or if I run for this society, that society? Because you can do it. Alhamdulillah, Allah Ta'ala has blessed you with so much talent, so much that you are in a position to do it. And that is why जिस तरह Ahmed was not if अगर Ahmed ने ये सोचा होता कि यार how will I manage my studies with the the union, and on top of that if I'm the president of the union, he knew it. He's going to jump into it and inshallah he will manage. So ये youth के अंदर ये जो एक drive है, you need to be a doer, you need to be a go-getter कि inshallah I can do it, I can manage it, why not? अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह अशरफुल मखलूकात अल्लाह ताला ने हमें बनाया है, अशरफुल मखलूकात बनाया है, किसी रीजन के लिए बनाया है, कि हम ये कर सकते हैं. And then if you have hope, if you believe in yourself, and if you're confident, why not? You can manage it.
And I wanted to just add कि मतलब this is not something that I am like a born talented sort of person with gifted abilities कि यहाँ पे मतलब gifted talent से abilities से मैं यहाँ पे आके मतलब Oxford में हो गया मतलब, and then becoming Oxford Union president. I think I was in Pakistan at Army Public School. In Pakistan, honestly, when I came here in my first year, जब मैं यहाँ पे move हुआ इलाज के लिए, and then I started school here. Honestly, I found it almost easier, like in the first year or so, to sort of, compared to the rest of my class, because in Pakistan, kids are so smart, so competitive, so intelligent in general, that it was sort of almost a shocker. Obviously, it gets difficult as you go here as well. Lekin, I think it's more, as Momin said, about the drive that you have. It's about like your willingness to do it is what will get you there, rather than sheer talent that you're born with or something. So I think that is something very important to sort of like relate to like the rest of the young people as well. That it's not like none of us, maybe Momin is a bit, and you as well might like you're both, let's say, a bit talented in different things. But I think that's not a necessary sort of like requirement for sort of these sort of things, to do these sort of things. And I think that's important to establish here with the young people.
And I would just like to add here, I wish. Sorry, I was thinking, I wish I had something like Igniteful when I was a student, because mostly, if they, I mean, we didn't have many such platforms, but if we did, they were solely focused on just helping students with exam preparation, and that too just past papers. But something like this, coming up with an idea to support the Pakistani youth with their holistic development, and with nurturing them so that they can perform to the best of their abilities, in addition to preparing for their exams, ensuring that our students get that mental health support, they are emotionally intelligent, they are resilient. I think something like this is amazing, and I would really request, because I love the Pakistani youth. and eventually, of course, the youth of the world, because we want global peace. But starting from Pakistan, I would really request everyone who's watching to join Ignite Full, and then tell your friends to be a part of it, because you once you join it, you will get to understand that how important these things are, in addition to just your grades, because you need to be a well-rounded individual. You need to be a well-rounded individual these days.
Absolutely,
It's not just a
absolutely.
grade.
I just wanted to add, yeah, the moment you picked on the next thing I was going to talk about, Arvothi, the importance of community. I think personally, if I've accomplished anything in life, I think uska sara, yeah, at least a major chunk of that the credit goes to my friends. Just having that network. लोग जो इतने driven, like जब मैं apply करी थी colleges में back in 2016, मुझे नहीं पता था ये कॉमन ऐप के थ्रू अप्लाई करना होता है अपने यूएस कॉलेजेस में, या यूकैस होता है फॉर यूके कॉलेजेस. अगेन फाउंड द राइट फ्रेंड सेट ऑफ फ्रेंड्स जिनके अंदर इतनी ड्राइव थी कि दे डिडंट वांट टू स्टॉप एट एनीथिंग. ओ लेवल में 8 सब्जेक्ट नहीं लेने, 10 लेने, 10 नहीं 12 लेने. ए लेवल में कोई कह भी रहा है तो कि 3 से ज्यादा सब्जेक्ट्स क्यों ले रहे हो, बट दे वुड ऑलवेज go the extra mile. 4 नहीं 5 सब्जेक्ट्स लेने हैं. सिर्फ ये नहीं कि एकेडमिक्स पे फोकस करना है, स्पोर्ट्स भी करनी है, हेड गर्ल के लिए भी अप्लाई करना है, ऑल ऑफ दोस थिंग्स. आई थिंक इसमें इतना ज्यादा घंटे तो 24 ही होते हैं सबके पास, बट आई थिंक 24 आवर्स इज अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम फॉर यू टू डू अ लॉट, राइट? आप शुरू कर रहे होते तो आपको लगता है कि दिस मे नॉट हैपन, बट आई मैनेज लाइक फुल टाइम जॉब्स विद माय फुल टाइम सेमेस्टर्स एट लम्स. मैंने फुल टाइम कंसल्टिंग के इंटरव्यूज दिए, ब्लेंडेड ऑफर्स व्हाइल बीइंग एट लम्स. तो वही वाली बात है कि आपको लग रहा होता है कि भाई नहीं होगा, बट हो जाता है. एंड द सपोर्ट सर्कल, like somebody mentioned as well, is the most important thing. I think Igniteful का बहुत बड़ा रोल ये है कि we want to provide that community. We want to create that sense of community that people don't have otherwise. और हम इसी बात पे बहुत चीजें encourage करते हैं कि find people who are driven as you. Find people who don't want to spend their time talking about others, but want to make a change in their lives. वो rant नहीं करेंगे कि भाई weight बढ़ी जा रहे हैं, दिन रात जंक खा रहे होंगे, वर्कआउट करने का नाम नहीं लेंगे, but they will talk about how this is affecting my physical health or whatever. Similarly, like just not finding a therapist or looking into mental health while complaining कि भाई मैं तो perpetually eternally depressed हो गया हूँ. Like being very mindful of these problems, we want to sort of provide the support, and we want to push you to take the active steps to rectify your life. Otherwise, I think rant करके हम लोग सब अपनी पूरी जिंदगी गुजार देंगे. We will just be one more miserable person in the world if we don't take action for our own happiness. So I think community की terms में आप लोग बता सकते हो कि how has your experience been, या आप लोगों का, what do you think, how important is this?
I was gonna say firstly, honestly, it's also very inspiring seeing your achievements, Swaiba, of like how you've persevered so much, and like the things that you've learned. It's really good to sort of in all of these sort of conversations that we ever have. I think there's always so much to learn for everyone involved in these conversations. And thank you also for sharing your own experiences. It's very inspiring. Again, one thing I'm sitting in this call feeling very happy about is that it's like the fact that I've started having these conversations in Pakistan.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've now gone beyond the point where we were sort of dogmatically sort of following sort of whatever the cultural, like the societal sort of restriction and boundaries were. We were staying within that. Now that we've sort of grown out of that and we're sort of looking from a holistic view, so sort of at a bigger picture, this is, I think, something that is to be celebrated. Is the fact that we are now having these conversations. There are hundreds of young people coming here to listen to these conversations, and they're looking for this sort of like something to inspire them, and sort of looking at advice, and the sort of keenness to learn, the keenness to sort of to do things, the keenness to be inspired by others is, I think, in itself a great achievement from us in general, from Pakistanis. So I think, that's just a general thing that I wanted to mention that has made me really happy about this call today. I'll go. I would go first on the question as well.
मैं इस पे ऐड करना चाहूंगा कि सोएबा, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तो आउटस्टैंडिंग अचीवमेंट्स. मैंने हाथ उठा के भी सलूट किया था आपको, क्योंकि आई लव दोज पीपल जो डिफरेंट चीजें जगल कर लेते हैं। क्योंकि आजकल मैं मेजॉरिटी स्टूडेंट्स को मिलता हूँ, यार वो अभी तो मैं पढ़ रहा हूँ, अभी तो मैं ग्रेजुएट हो जाऊंगा, उसके बाद देखूंगा ना मैंने क्या करना है। यू कैन नॉट वेट टू गेट दैट पीस ऑफ पेपर बिफोर यू स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन समथिंग दैट यू आर पैशनेट अबाउट. You can't just wait. Whatever I was passionate about, I started working on it. I was never waiting. And then, this is a time of self learning. ठीक है? तो just coming back to community, I think एक community का होना इतना important है कि if you have the right support system around you, and I know that Igniteful provides you with that community where people help each other out so that everyone can grow. If you have the right people around you, that can act like a catalyst in terms of your growth and in terms of achieving things that you want to achieve at a much faster rate. So just point being कि I know Igniteful एक community देता है जहाँ पे लोग एक दूसरे को help करते हैं. तो ये community का होना, community develop करना, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. और इसी के लिए हमें लीडर्स भी चाहिए, क्योंकि एक अच्छा लीडर होगा तो वो कम्युनिटी को आगे लेके चलेगा. और कम्युनिटी के लोग फिर एक दूसरे को अपलिफ्ट करने की सोचते हैं. वी हैव स्पोकन अबाउट चैलेंजेस, इन चैलेंजेस वी नीड टू think about turning these into opportunity. But even when we're blessed, we need to realize that we need to use our blessing, in our good times to uplift others. कि अगर अल्लाह ताला ने हम पे अच्छा वक्त अल्लाह ताला ले आए हैं तो ये टेम्परेरी है. बुरे वक्त की एक अच्छी बात है कि वो गुजर जाता है, अच्छे वक्त की भी एक बुरी बात है कि वो भी गुजर जाता है. तो हमें रियलाइज करना है कि अगर हम पे अच्छा वक्त आया तो हम इस अच्छे वक्त को अच्छे काम के लिए यूज कर लें, दूसरों को अपलिफ्ट करने के लिए. तो ये जो कम्युनिटी का आपका पॉइंट था, इसमें आई जस्ट वांटेड टू add some points because I think that is another amazing element of Igniteful, that it is a platform which is also providing a nice community, for people to support each other. And इसी से उनके अंदर empathy आएगी, इसी से उनके अंदर ज्यादा compassion आएगा, इसी से उनके अंदर leadership भी आएगी, और इसी से उनके अच्छे relationships भी develop होंगे. क्योंकि एक अच्छा दोस्त I think अल्लाह ताला का सबसे यूनिक और प्यारा तोहफा है.
So absolutely, I cannot emphasize on that enough. I think अच्छे दोस्त आपकी जिंदगी चेंज कर देते हैं. I hope my friends are not listening here. They shouldn't be getting all this praise online.
Well, you clearly have a good
feel free to add.
If you have achieved so much, honestly.
Ahmed, did you want to respond to the question? या मैं आगे बढ़ूं?
No. I was just going to say, I mean, I think yourself and Momin covered like a lot of good things in this area. I think just the one thing that I do want to like re-emphasize on, which I think Momin mentioned, but I think it's very important, is that point about doing your own things, doing your studies, like, and also doing these things that you care about, or doing these things that matter to others. I mean, personally, जब मैंने यहाँ पे जब studies start की UK में, so I was recovering from my injuries, my gunshot wounds. I was also in the midst of my studies, just getting used to the culture, learning the language. I mean, back then I didn't speak much English because when I came from Pakistan, I mean, Pakistan today is very like, it's much better in terms of how people can, speak English with much ease in there. When I came from Peshawar, my English abilities weren't super great. So I was learning English. There were a lot of like personal mental battles. And I was also obviously getting familiar with the education system here and everything. Lekin amidst all of that, I was going around to schools, to conferences, and like, I would take, like, if there would be a day off from school, I would go and like, arrange something in that. Like if I would get an invitation, I'd be like, I'll go in that day, I'll go after school, whatever it takes. I continued that work over like the years of GCSEs. GCSEs came and I was doing these things. And then my international baccalaureate started, which is sort of an alternative to A-level. Lekin, I think around that time, I didn't let it affect my studies either. My studies were going, mashallah, very well. I was also hoping to get into like, Oxford around that time when I was doing my IBs. But also, I at no point let this sort of, this campaign, this work that I do, the things that I care about, the things I think that matter, affect my studies. Because, and I think this also was more so to sort of show the other fellow young people who worry that if they do these sort of things, it will affect their studies, that no, it won't. If you are driven, if you care about it a lot, and if you are sort of, if you work hard on it. You can do both things. You can make a difference in the world and also make yourself into a successful young person.
100%.
और शोएबा मैं इसमें ऐड करना चाहूंगा before we go ahead कि I think everyone we need to kind of वो call to action तो हमने दिया नहीं कि हर कोई follow तो करे Nightful को क्योंकि वो फॉलो करेंगे तो इस तरह के और सेशंस भी उनको I'm sure देखने को मिलेंगे और वो जो हमने की सारी बात की about their holistic development they can get to experience it themselves.
Yeah, before absolutely. Please everybody do follow us on our Instagram, and we keep sending you emails as well, so drop your email addresses as well so we can bother you more with our live sessions जो आपको benefit करेंगे. But before we go into that conversation, final point, I'm sure आप लोगों की भी low days आते होंगे, सबके आते हैं, right? Some days when you don't want to change the world or your life. How do you navigate through those days?
Momin, you go first. I have to think about that.
Unless आप लोगों की नहीं आती
मैं इस पे दो चीजें बोलना चाहूंगा क्योंकि again as this is just my perspective and my personal opinion, मैं एक analogy देना चाहूंगा. वो कहते हैं ना अच्छा ग्रेड, दो analogies दूंगा. अच्छे ग्रेड्स उसके नहीं आते जो तब पढ़ता है जब उसका दिल चाह रहा होता है. अच्छे ग्रेड्स उसके आते हैं उसका दिल चाह रहा हो या ना चाह रहा हो वो पढ़ता है. सिमिलरली अच्छी बॉडी उसकी नहीं बनती जो जिसका जब दिल चाहता है वो तब जिम जाता है. अच्छी फिजिक उसकी बनती है उसका दिल चाह रहा हो या ना चाह रहा हो वो जिम जाता है. तो डिसिप्लिन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन लाइफ. Being in the mood is one thing, but being disciplined is another thing. Maybe you wake up and you're not in the mood to go and give your exams, or maybe you're not in the mood to give your admissions test for Oxford University, but does not matter, because you have to be disciplined. That's one thing. That's one way of looking at it. And the other way is the way I personally see, someday when I'm feeling sad, when I'm feeling low, I tend to have an attitude of gratitude. I tend to think about, note down, verbally say all the things that I can be grateful for, regardless of the fact that I'm feeling low. Like, I can see, I can walk, I can talk, I can breathe. I have a family, I have my parents. I'm blessed with a phone, with the internet. Alhamdulillah, I have food. So on those days when I'm feeling sad and low, I just change my whole outlook. Just so that, I can get through it, and I start talking to myself, Momin, there's so much that you can be grateful for. Then why are you being sad? तो वो फिर आपकी एक total perception outlook change हो जाती है. But of course for our youth who are focused, जिनके ऊपर उनका future, पाकिस्तान का future depend करता है, उनको मैं कहूँगा discipline और time management बहुत जरूरी है. You have to at times push yourself. Even when you're not in the mood, you have to push yourself. Because you are doing it for the bigger picture, and life is all about consistency. Consistency as Ahmed said, perseverance. So yeah.
No, absolutely.
Thank you for that.
This was the same thing for me. For me, it was from school actually. जब हम वहाँ पे आर्मी पब्लिक स्कूल में होते थे, तो हमारे स्कूल में चार houses थे. Unity, faith, discipline, and tolerance. Unity, faith, discipline was what obviously Qaid-e-Azam said were the key things. लेकिन आर्मी पब्लिक स्कूल में हमारे वहाँ पर मतलब चौथा भी था वो tolerance था. So I was part of the discipline sort of house. So we would usually take pride in like these sort of things. Obviously, the inter-house sort of competitions and like sort of, the feeling of pride about your house. So it's sort of like that notion sort of was stuck in my head from the beginning. But of course, it has been a very constant throughout my life. And as Momin said, like feeling gratitude about things just, makes you want to be more disciplined and makes you want to do, more of these good things. लेकिन जब आपने कहा है कि मतलब when we're not wearing our capes and just not working on changing the world, what do we do? I think, in all honesty, we have quite a lot of fun as well. It's not like I'm sure like you both do as well, but I would say that at university, at no point have I felt like it being the case that I'm not enjoying my time. I've had an incredible time at university. We do a lot of things. I'm involved with sports, etc. वहाँ पे हमारी पाकिस्तान society के matches होते हैं, India society के साथ, cricket matches. etc etc. हम मतलब इस तरह की activities बाहर socials पे जाना मतलब वगैरह वगैरह. We do all of those things. We're not some sort of some weird like special kids who just like work on like changing the world. We of course do that, but I think that comes at like that comes as a very big part of your life. But also you can have fun. You can be enjoying your life, doing other things. Go out with your friends from time to time. Do whatever you want. We've been doing a lot of that, and I'm sure you both have, even if you're not sort of confessing to it.
No. I can fully confess, and it's all public. Alhamdulillah, I've had the best student life ever, and I was part of every society. I would tell everyone, I would go back in my room just to sleep. I would be in my university literally till 10 p.m. So, I would never miss a meet and greet or any activity of any society. And I think that was one of the reasons, because it's also needed, when you have to be active in student politics and all. So, but I had fun, and I fully confess it, my lord.
I think an active effort करती रहनी चाहिए towards this fun, because university के बाद it feels like it's not there. But if you are passionate about what you're doing, that just makes things easier.
Well, we don't want to think about. I don't think about what is after university. I'm gonna have fun.
Good luck to you. This is coming from a recent graduate. So, on a side note, welcome to the void soon. नहीं इतनी negativity नहीं फैलानी session के end पे. Momin, we promised everyone that we will ask you to either mimic someone for us or do something, do one of your tricks. So I think about time.
किसको mimic करूं बताएं, जो कहेंगे कर दूंगा. Ignite full के लिए कुछ भी.
Asha, guys, if you have any requests, so please bata de, so we can ask Momin to imitate that certain person. Ahmed, otherwise I will honor you with the choice. Joby, whatever you're comfortable with.
With the choice of what? Sorry.
Of asking him to mimic someone.
No. I think people can ask. I would just watch. Momin bhai ke maine dekha. He's very good.
So someone I was reading the. Okay, so we're getting some comments.
I remember people are saying SRK. It was incredible, Momin.
Okay, I will do SRK. And I will just thank. So the situation is that I'm a student who just came across Igniteful, and he's super happy. And Igniteful is just changing his whole life academically, socially, and psychologically, and emotionally. और मैं सोच भी नहीं सकता था कि Igniteful मेरी जिंदगी में इस तरह एकदम बदलाव लाएगा. एक सेकंड यार, ये पहले क्यों नहीं बताया? Igniteful के बारे में पहले क्यों नहीं बताया? Igniteful अभी फॉलो करो. Do it. Just...
Wow, that
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you
so much.
This is vintage. This is vintage Shah Rukh Khan.
Yes,
from back in the old GD days.
Yes. But thank you so much, Ahmed. It was lovely talking to you, and I will see you next month in London, inshallah.
Thank you very much, guys. Momin, you're of course like it's always incredible to have a conversation. So much energy. It's really good to see. It's refreshing to sort of have this conversation. And also Swaiba, like you've put so much effort into this, into arranging this. I'm sure the young people who have been listening to this would be grateful as well to your sort of facilitating this event, and obviously your achievements as well. So it's been such a pleasure, and we'll hopefully do this again sometime.
Just want to say this is a combined effort from Team Igniteful, Minahil, our founder, Kirat, our team lead, Sanya, as well as Iman, who has recently joined us. So it's been a combined effort, and we're very glad we were able to do this. So thank you for your time, both of you. Inshallah, connect soon on other things. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care. Allah Hafiz. Thank you. Thank you.